What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me, and I just wanted to say thank you for clicking onto this video and supporting this channel. Going strong, have about 30 subscribers, and I'm just so happy to be able to share my manga journey with the whole world who decides to actually click on these videos and watch it. So today we're going to be talking about Claymore. I'm going to be talking about what I enjoy about the series so far. I'll tell you a little bit of where I am in the actual manga itself, and a little bit about what I'm expecting to happen in the next arc that I am in within the book. Claymore is a series that does have arcs, so I'll get into that a little bit. First and foremost, what I really enjoy most about the series, and you can see it here, just aesthetically from the covers. I know I mentioned it in some of my videos, but you can kind of see they're usually called the silver-eyed slayers, and you can see that the eyes kind of twinkle a little bit in silver, just because they wanted that aesthetic effect. On all of the claymores within the series, they do have the silver eyes, and you can actually even see them on the back as well. So that's something that I really enjoy, just aesthetically from the manga itself. Another thing that I enjoy about the series was really the introduction arc, and it was a really good introduction to the story itself. I wouldn't say it's as intense as Berserk. I've read the first omnibus version of Berserk, so volumes 1 through 3. Berserk is definitely a little darker and more intense, but there are some dark undertones throughout this. And you really get to see a lot of stuff happen. Basically, for those who don't know what the story itself is about, at least basically to this point, uh, in this world there are claymores. There are also these monsters called Yoma, I believe. And the Yoma actually are hunting humans. They can actually shapeshift into humans and disguise themselves into society and then prey on the human beings throughout that society to eat them as food and sustenance to keep on living and thriving. What the Claymore's purpose is to detect the actual Yoma, which they can do through their silver eyes, which is a side effect from actually kind of transfusing with the Yoma. We haven't really seen that happen yet in the manga itself. I'm expecting that to happen soon, just so we can kind of have a visual representation of how someone actually transfuses from a human into a claymore or a silver-eyed slayer. We learned early on that claymore probably isn't the term that they want to be called. That's just the moniker that people have called them. And it's also important to note that the people's reaction to claymores is pretty negative throughout pretty much all walks of life so far within the manga. We've only been through two arcs. The arc where it introduced everything, uh, Rocky or Rakai. He's a young man. Again, I'm only reading these words, so if I'm saying it wrong, let me know in the comments. I say words wrong all the time. I tell my students that all the time. I've only seen the words written, so I am definitely predisposed to actually say these words incorrectly. But with Rocky, what we can see is that a lot of the people in the town don't really revere these claymores, and it turns out when the Claymore Claire comes to the village itself to try to stop Yoma from actually devouring people within that village, a lot of people think of her as a monster, and that's pretty much the tone that we get even in the next arc, which I have it pulled up on my computer a little further away, which is Darkness in Paradise. There's a town in which there's a paradise, and they pretty much lock away all that stuff and don't allow claymores in there at all, and there's some stuff that happens in there as well. But we can tell from the first chapter itself that people really do not like these claymores, and they kind of see them as monsters themselves. We also learn that claymores predominantly, at least to this point, or almost always, are women. Men cannot become claymores. For some reason, the transfusion of the Yoma blood probably just does not go well with them. Maybe they succumb too much to it, or they just die from that transfusion. Again, no spoilers for the future. This is only for the first two arcs or the first three books entirely. Obviously, this is a spoiler review of the series so far, so just be aware of that. But I was actually a little surprised with how intense the book actually is. And near the end, since we're talking about the arcs, near the end of the introduction arc, we learn what a black card is. And a black card is what happens when a Claymore maybe uses her power too much and lets the Yoma instincts within them boil so much that they no longer can control holding it back. and soon will just turn into a Yoma. So what has to happen is that usually they want to die with their human characteristics, their human traits. So they will send a black card to another Claymore. That Claymore will come and unfortunately kill that person just so they can kind of die in their own terms still as a human being. After the introduction arc, so Rocky, his brother, turned out to be the Yoma. Wasn't really the Yoma itself. The Yoma had killed him and was disguising himself as his brother. After that happens, Claire defeats the Yoma, and he wants to go on with Claire. Claire tells him no, but eventually lets him come with him. And you kind of see this relationship start to kind of form between the two of them, and you see very similar things that were happening within their past as we get into the Darkness in Paradise arc. And when we're in that arc, we learn just even a little bit more just about what Claymores can actually do. So in that town where they don't allow Claymores themselves to actually go in, I don't think they allow any mystical things or any kind of what they determine or deem as like sacrilegious to what they believe. In that town, they don't usually let that in. So what Claire does is she takes pills that actually suppresses her eyes from being silver back to a normal or their normal color. And she's able to go there. She sleuths a little bit. They end up finding out that the Yoma was actually like a dead. It was disguising itself as kind of like in a coffin and coming out and destroying and eating human beings. They eventually find the Yoma. Claire almost is dead. She's attacked pretty severely to the point where she had to use so much power that she was overcoming and succumbing to those Yoma instincts. And I hope I'm saying the right word, because if I'm not, you're just going to have to forgive me because we're 7 minutes into this video already. But she has to kind of she can't suppress those instincts and those urges, so she's becoming full Yoma. She asks one of the guards that are within that castle to actually kill her, but Rocky comes and tells them to stop, and he actually can talk her back down, and she's able to control and gain her sense of being again. So that's something that we hadn't seen to that point. Claire did not know that she could do that at that point. So I guess we're going to see more to come with maybe how Claymores maybe can suppress that instinct and potentially, hopefully, stay alive just a little bit more and fight the good fight and stop those Yoma from consuming and eating humans. There's definitely a lot more to the story than meets the eye. But that was that's going to be book 2 and book 3. I'm only done with book 3. Book 3 has those last 2 chapters and then goes into Claire's past arc. So we learn a little bit about Claire's past. And Claire's past is a little dark too. She kind of has the same situation that kind of happened with Rocky. We are introduced to Teresa of the Faint Smile. And pretty much we learn a little bit more about Claire's past. She was kind of mute until I think about the second or third chapter after Teresa had gone on the voyage with her. Teresa did not want to take her with her, but she ended up caving in. So we can see that parallel already with Rocky and her, probably why she allowed Rocky to tag along. I can't speak to the entire end of the story, but we do learn that Claymores can't kill humans, and sometimes the humans take advantage of that. There was a pretty gruesome scene. If you want to read the chapter, hold on one second. It was part 4, scene 15, if you want to follow along. There's some pretty gruesome scenes here, and you get to see Claire kind of grow, and it's nice to see. And I'm looking forward to reading the 4th book so I can get the full end of pretty much Claire's past backstory. But that's pretty much where I am at this point. If anybody has read Claymore, they probably have had a fantastic time with it. I cannot recommend this series enough. Definitely if you want to give it a shot. I think the first 3 volumes, so the rule of 3, definitely is good with this one. So volumes 1, 2, and 3 would be a great read for you to actually get introduced to Claymore, just to see if you like it. And if you don't, you could probably recoup most of your money if you didn't like that investment into actually reading it just a little bit. It might also be available, I don't know for sure because I didn't check before recording this video, but it could also maybe be available on the Shonen Jump app, and that's usually I think $1.99 a month. And you can't go wrong with maybe reading the first 3 chapters, seeing if you like it, and then supporting the original release just a little bit more by purchasing the paperback copies of the books themselves. But with that, that was my at least review or first takes or what I thought about the first 3 books of the actual manga series Claymore. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time. I don't know what I'm going to review next, but I think this style of video is a little better than reviewing the whole series, so I'm going to keep going on with this. So that is pretty much, I know I read it a little while ago, but I wanted to give you my full recap of what I thought and what I enjoyed about the series so far. So stay tuned for future updates. As I'm teaching, these updates might get a little slower and slower as I'm tending to my classes. I'm teaching 8 sections this semester, so it's a lot to have to handle, but I'm going to definitely try to get as many videos as I can to all of you. Thank you so much if you stayed to the end of this video, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.